Today's guest, Anthony Scaramucci, says Bitcoin will hit $170,000 after the halving, to which I say, why so bearish, man? I bet he actually wants to give us a bigger prediction, but we're all gun shy now about being hyperbolic after the last market. Also believes we can hit the previous all-time high this year. We're going to talk about this, the ETFs, and more. Of course, got Texas West Capital on the back half of the stream and a giveaway as always. You guys don't want to miss this. I got the mooch. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of Wall Street. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. I'm going to go ahead and bring on Anthony right now. I was just telling you before, man, I can't let my wife watch these because your hair is so perfect. And
it's a lot of matting going on here. A lot of matting. Okay, I know I can tell you all my tricks. Thank God I still have it though, Melker. I mean, that's the key. But I have a question for you. Okay, there's a rumor out there that you're funding the Jim Cramer tweets. Is that true?
No comment.
Because literally,
I am Jim Cramer. I'm actually his social media director.
I just think it's unbelievable. He says the thing can't find any footing, and that's literally the bottom, the interim bottom. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So I just people think it's you. It's not you.
It's not me, but I might be getting paid to be an advisor. I mean, it's uncanny. Are you friends with him? I feel like you guys would like have crossed paths.
I have my very famous Jim Cramer story. It was 1987. He had just left Goldman Sachs. He was a private banker there, and he'd started a hedge fund. I cold called him. I was a second year or first year student at Harvard. I said, Jim, I want to get a job on Wall Street. And he said to me, do you read the Wall Street Journal? And I admitted no. Do you read the business section of the New York Times? I said no. Do you read Barron's on the weekend? And I said no. And Cramer said to me, go F yourself. You're not ready for a job on Wall Street. And he hung up the phone. That is a total true story, okay? And he was right. And it was a very big lesson for me. And so now I'm Mr. Absorption of information. And then when I ran into him 2 years later, he said, oh, you weren't the only person I said that to, but I like Jim. I think Jim's a very smart, very capable guy. But like people of his ilk and his generation, he really doesn't understand the technology. And what I would submit to you, whether it's Jim Cramer, Jamie Dimon, you pick the person, they haven't done the homework. Okay. But when somebody like a Paul Tudor Jones does the homework, or somebody like a Stan Druckenmiller of their vintage does the homework, it's a one-way ticket towards Bitcoin. I have yet to meet a person of my vintage or older that has actually done the homework and then drew the conclusion, oh, Bitcoin sucks, or digital assets suck, or the blockchain sucks. It is a one-way ticket towards the asset class, Scott. And that's the upsetting thing for me, is that like the superficiality, okay, you don't understand it, that's fine. Either do the homework or don't comment about it.
That I agree with that. Like, just keep your mouth shut. You can't hate something that you don't understand. But to your point, not only is it a one-way ticket to Bitcoin, but once they get there, nobody ever leaves. Even if they go through a bear market, even if price draws down 80%, you never see any of these guys say I was wrong, except for Nassim Taleb. He left. Okay,
but was that a fight with the kid that wrote the Bitcoin Standard? He's a very bright kid. I mean,
wow, how am I blanking on that?
Yeah, because I can't remember his name. You know that 80%.
Safadine Ammous. Sorry, Safadine is
Safadine Ammous. So he was fighting with him. That's a Lebanese pride thing. Even Noriel came up with his own token, right? So ultimately, I mean, you gotta look at it for what it really is. And so there's a new asset class, and there's an old guard. And the old guard, it took a while. Listen, I'm old enough to remember Web 1. It took a while. People, I was telling people, well, there's going to be a costless phone call over the web. People looking at me like I was crazy. What are you talking about? It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think we all agree there. Let's talk about the splash you made at the World Economic Forum, because, man, you're all over the headlines for this one. Hey, you said you planned to buy the U.S. Bitcoin ETF. 2023 was the best year for your crypto fund. So I want to talk about that, because 2022 was miserable for everybody. You were
Yes.
pretty public about it being exceptionally miserable for you, especially
I
obviously
did
with
terribly.
FTX and all that. You crushed it.
Yeah, well, you said something earlier, that if you're in it, you don't get out of it. Okay, so let's talk about 22 for a second. I could have been a monkey flipping coins, Scott, and I could have done a better job. Okay, every decision that I made in 2022 went bad. I bought more Bitcoin, bad. I bought more Ethereum, bad. Got long Solana, bad. I teamed up with Sam Bankman-Fried. Looked good in the beginning. We had a
Great.
spectacular conference, Crypto Bahamas. I can't tell you the number of people that congratulated me on the partial sale of Skybridge to Sam in September of 2022. But by November, I was a goat. I had taken one and turned it into zero. Entrepreneurs like to go from 0 to 1. I went from 1 to 0. And so it was humiliating. It was brutal. I was subjected to 4.5 hours of testimony with the Department of Justice. I had to turn over my cell phones, my Signal, my WhatsApp. It was absolutely brutal. But here's the thing I would say to young people listening: you hang in there, okay? And you tell the truth, and you hang in there, and you own your mistakes. Because if you have integrity, there's always opportunity. There's always people looking to help you if you have integrity. And so by the end of 22, I thought 23 was going to be the worst year of my career. I was expecting Bitcoin to go to 8,000. I was expecting to hold it the whole way down. I was expecting the aftermath of Sam to deplete all of my assets. But, it turns out when you think things are really bad, that's probably where the bottom is. And lo and behold, our coin fund was up 160% last year. Our core fund of funds, which has crypto exposure, but also a collection of hedge funds, up 36%. And our sort of lower volatility fund was up 25%. So it was the best year of my career. Very happy about that, obviously. Made the bet. I think that if we're going to be right about this, the next 2 years for these funds will be spectacular, Scott. You mentioned my $170,000 prediction. So I just want to go into that with you for 30 seconds. That's a data dependent prediction. Go back and look at Bitcoin halving cycles. The day that the Bitcoin halves, multiply it by 4, 18 months later, and it's been uncanny that's been the price of Bitcoin. So I'm using a $35,000 number at the halving. And that's conservative. You're correct. That is conservative. Let's say we're at 50,000 in April. Okay, then it's a $200,000 handle. Let's say we're at 60,000, it'll be 240. But my long-term price target is that Bitcoin gets to easily half the market capitalization of gold. Gold now at about 14.5 trillion. If Bitcoin goes to 7 or 8 trillion, that's a 10x from here. It's a $400,000 Bitcoin. And I think it would be ridiculous for people not to understand the asset, not to understand the dynamics of it as a store of value, and not to have a position. One last point, if you don't mind me saying this: we were the first money into BlackRock. I think I broke it on your.
You did.
I broke it on Wall Street's. We gave BlackRock the first money last January. They converted successfully into the ETF. They have not even started the marketing process. And as you know, these 11 ETFs, this was the best ETF launch in ETF history. So we have some sludge going on with the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. The real experts know that. But when that sludge clears out, you have clear skies ahead for Bitcoin, and you have a lot of demand for Bitcoin. You have institutional demand finally for Bitcoin, because it's now an asset that's wrapped in something that the hoi polloi can understand, and that the institutions can now be comfortable buying. So all of those things hopefully make me wrong about my prediction to the low side. But let's just say this: people need to get in there. They need to understand this asset. They need to work harder to do the research on an asset like this.
Yeah, I mean, the last cycle did about a 3.5x from that, 20-ish to 69 or whatever it was. And that was by far the most muted cycle we'd had. And that was without any of this institutional involvement. But I love what you just said about the marketing campaigns that are coming. People are like goldfish. if it's not the 10 billion in AUM the first week, they think it's a failure for some reason.
Right.
You've pointed out that it's a success. We know that Vanguard, Merrill Lynch, a lot of these aren't offering them. RIA platforms haven't even done the research yet, are not offering them. They haven't chosen which ones to offer. We're in the first out of the first inning of judging these ETFs.
Yeah, I don't even think I think we're getting a count on. I don't even think we got an out yet. I think there's 2 balls and 1 strike on the first batter. My thing about this, because I was an FA and I have distributed product into these wirehouses, they're cautious, they're slow moving, but when they get there, it's going to be overwhelming. Okay. And remember, this is a fixed supply asset. So, Jamie Dimon said something, and I watch his interviews very carefully because I think he's very smart, but he said, Satoshi's going to press a button and it's going to create another 21 million Bitcoin. And okay, but that actually mathematically and from a programming analysis and from a decentralized point of view, it actually cannot happen. But to say that, it either implies you're joking or it either implies you don't have the expertise or the awareness, And so I don't know, maybe he's got the regulators on him and he doesn't want the regulators on him too hard like the Elizabeth Warrens. But I got to tell you, it's not an informed view, and it's shocking because if you said to me, who is the smartest person in financial services, he's got to be in the top 5. I mean, he's done an unbelievable job at that bank, unbelievable job navigating the global financial crisis, unbelievable job of being there at the right time with the right core assets. I mean, the bank never really shook or got knocked into insolvency. But I mean, this thing, I think he's just really missing. And then when you talk to the guys there, they're like, yeah, well, we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing.
That's what I was going to ask you. Now, I mean, they're the AP for BlackRock and a number of other ETFs. They have JP Morgan Onyx, a platform for tokenizing and settling on chain.
And they want to make money.
Where's the disconnect? Where's the disconnect?
Here's one thing you should know. If you have a private banking account at JP Morgan, you can call them today and say, I want to buy one of those ETFs. They will accept the order on an unsolicited basis. They will purchase it for you, and they will put that CUSIP in your account. So you can hold the BlackRock or the Fidelity ETF in an account at JP Morgan. I think that's meaningful because some of these other places, whether it's Vanguard or Merrill Lynch, Bank of America at this time, they say no, they won't even accept it on an unsolicited basis.
Is this a watch what I do and not what I say situation? I mean, is he like wagging the dog, so he doesn't look bad? Or is this literally like he has to do it to make money, but also has to, like you say, kind of kowtow to Elizabeth Warren? Because we know there's something else going on. It's a big
bank, and there's a lot of people inside that bank that understand it, want to make money from it. But he's also got to sit before the Congress, and we should go. Can we go 30 seconds to Elizabeth Warren, because I have a long relationship.
You can go 30 hours to Elizabeth Warren, and I won't cut you off.
Elizabeth Warren, I graduated from Harvard Law School in 1989. Elizabeth Warren joined the faculty in 93. Elena Kagan, who is now on the Supreme Court, was the dean of the Harvard Law School. And so Bruce Wasserstein, who's no longer with us, was building a building there to support the university. They turned a garage on the corner into this beautiful, magnificent building, and they were asking alumni for donations. Elizabeth Warren, when I met her, she could not have been more charming, okay? And she could not have been more nice. She was soliciting alumni for solicitations. Fast forward to 2017, I'm on the Trump transition team. I'm in Davos. There was a gentleman there from the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Russia. He came over to my table at a restaurant, said hello to me. A picture was taken, obviously on somebody's cell phone. And the reporters said, oh, Scaramucci met with the Russian Sovereign Wealth Fund. Elizabeth Warren sent a letter to me demanding that she fully understand my involvement in the Russian collusion case. Okay, so this is so this cost me about $50,000 in legal fees. Okay, now whatever you think of Donald Trump, I was on that campaign, Scott. We couldn't even collude with ourselves. Okay, so I don't even know how they could think for a moment that we were colluding with the Russians. Okay, it was not possible. Of course, it was proven that we didn't collude with the Russians. Okay, we're literally fighting with each other. And so that's when the fight started with me and Elizabeth Warren. Okay. And I find her to be absolutely repulsive and absolutely hypocritical. And I said in Davos that her and Gary are the access of regulatory evil. They literally have decided that Scott Melker may have made some money. I always tease Mike Novogratz. I said, it's really you, Nova, because you made over $1 billion with this shit. And she knows you personally. And she's very upset about that. She's literally the type of person that doesn't like to see rich people get richer. And a result of which she's willing to close down a product that would help the people she's supposedly advocating for. This is a product for the unbanked. This is a product for the people that can't afford Jamie Dimon's fees or Brian Moynihan's fees to be involved in the financial services process. This is a product where if Jack Mallers continues to execute, there will be a rail system, a payment system, where people outside of the United States that can't trust their currencies, don't trust their banks, will have an ability to transact with each other and use this technology as opposed to bartering with each other. And so to me, I don't understand it. Now, you've got 52 million people that own it. I do believe that Joe Biden will win this election, but if he doesn't win the election, some of it will be related to this regulatory nonsense between Gensler and Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, I think everyone believes they're a hypocrite. I want to ask you about another huge name. Obviously, you said at the beginning it's a one-way street, Bitcoin, and that once you get it, you never leave. Sometimes we question whether someone is here because they really have been orange pilled or whether they're talking their book. What do you make of Larry Fink's complete conversion here? He's on a roadshow, man, and not just Bitcoin, tokenization of everything, flight to quality, Ethereum's spot
Okay, so
ETF next.
I know him personally, so I want to say this to you. I met with Larry Fink in November of 2020. I was in the 2021, because it was closer, 2021. I was in the lobby of the Four Seasons Hotel in Abu Dhabi, okay, on the El Marian Island where the global markets facility is for Abu Dhabi. We were standing there together. He says, "You really like this Bitcoin?" I said, "I do." And then he looked at me and said, "Bitcoin sucks." I said, "It does?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "It's a stupid asset. It totally sucks." He goes, "But I just made an investment in Circle. I think the blockchain is good. And I think that the stable coins on the blockchain will be successful." And so BlackRock just made an investment in Jeremy Allaire's company. I said to Larry, "Okay." I said, "I think you're wrong. I just think you need to do more homework." Now, there's a guy named Robbie Mitchnick at BlackRock. He's a young kid. He came into BlackRock with the idea of creating a Bitcoin ETF. He orange pilled Larry. And I'm going to give Larry a lot of credit because Larry actually did the homework. Larry did the reversal. Larry was on the road to Damascus and converted as a result of being steeped in understanding exactly what it was and why it will be an international store of value. And I got to tell you something, it takes a very smart leader to pridefully say that Bitcoin sucks, and then 24 months later say, "You know what? I've got this wrong. BlackRock needs to be a part of this, and BlackRock needs to have a significant stake in it." So no, I don't think he's just talking his book. He's not that type of person. And he has said two things that you should pay attention to if you're an investor here. Number one, it's a store of value. And number two, it represents a flight to quality, Scott. I want you to think about that. Okay, this asset has experienced 100 vols. Okay, it's gone from 80 to 100 vols. We've seen the asset go from 69 to 16. We've seen it do all different types of haywire things. But the largest asset manager in the world, the CEO of that company, says it is a flight to quality. Okay, so that implies that he understands it. Last point of the story, it's now 23. It's January. Robbie comes to see us. My partner, Brett Messing, who I don't think you've met, he says to my partner, "Look, I'm getting a lot of bureaucratic resistance at BlackRock. I need some outside money in this Bitcoin trust. So we sent them 10 million bucks. We said, okay, we're in. So we were the first money in. He then went to the ETF committee and said, we can raise outside money for this. And they said, okay, if you can raise outside money for this, let's give it a go. And they were watching that Grayscale case carefully. Their lawyers told them that Grayscale was going to win that case. And then they dropped the application.
And the first thing Larry Fink said after the Bitcoin spot ETF was approved was, we need an Ethereum spot ETF. Do you think that it's coming soon?
Okay, now here's how you know he's been completely pilled, okay? We need an Ethereum spot ETF. And oh, by the way, we're going to tokenize all these assets. The future of exchanges is going to be tokenization. Okay, so he actually has taken it a step further. It's not just, okay, I got a Bitcoin ETF. And remember, they're charging 21 basis points. Okay, is that going to really move the needle at BlackRock? No, it's not going to move the needle.
That's always my point. No matter how successful this thing is, no matter how much AUM it gets, it's a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent of their total profit in AUM.
100%. So he's doing this because of the intellectual gravitas associated with it. And he's doing it because he wants to be at the forefront of it. And he's also recognizing that, he's playing the back nine of his career. And he knows that part of his legacy will be, was I a visionary leader or did I get stuck in 1987? Let me tell you something. I have buddies of mine. I mean, they're mentors. They're in their 80s. I'm not going to name them because they'll piss them off. But they don't even read their email, Scott. So what they do is they have their assistant. The guy's 87. You send them an email. The assistant gets it. And then they turn to the guy and say, okay, Anthony, said, read me the email. And they read him the email. And he says, okay, right back to Anthony. And then he dictates. Then we open the email. Okay, you don't want to be that person. You want to evolve and move with the times. You want to bring young people into your organization that can teach you about the future. Okay, you can give them maybe some experience on market volatility and handling crashes and not losing your cool when Sam Bankman-Fried is declared a fraud and he owns 30% of your company. You can give them some temperance and you give them some experience, but the young people can teach you about the future. And I give Robbie Mitchnick and Larry Fink a huge amount of credit for that.
I do as well. And I agree that the way he talks about it, it can't just be forced, right? He fully understands the asset class. I wonder how many more Larry Finks we're going to see through this next cycle as things begin to scale up, and how much the spot ETF approval, even though it was done begrudgingly by the regulator, how much that's going to start to bring others in. I mean, literally Gary Gensler cried like a little girl on approval. I don't endorse Bitcoin. This is just because of the court. I can't go against the court. Wah, mommy. Right.
Well, he's doing that for, he knows. See, he knows better. I know Gensler forever. I worked with him at Goldman. He taught the blockchain courses at MIT. He knows better. And he has openly admitted that Bitcoin is a commodity because he actually knows better. But he wants to be the Secretary of the Treasury. And he knows that Elizabeth Warren has the keys to that kingdom. And he's decided that he's putting all of his eggs in Elizabeth Warren's basket.
Yeah. Do you think that we're going to have any other major black swans that are unforeseen, or do you think that we've pretty much at least cleansed the contagion of the last cycle? I'm sure there will be things in the future we can't predict. Yeah. Let me reframe that. Do you think we're done with the last cycle of contagion and bad actors, or do you think that there's more shoes that could drop?
I don't think we're done, because I think there's still an unwind of inventory that has to take place with things like FTX, some of the issues related to Genesis, and a few other things that are out there. I do think that there's still inventory. Now, the rumor, not necessarily a rumor because it's more or less been confirmed now, that $1 billion of FTX GBTC was liquidated in the last week. And I think that cleared out the GBTC, but they own a ton of Solana. They own a ton of other assets. I think you have still some leverage in the mix between the arbitrage situation with GBTC and Genesis. I think that also potentially has to be unwound. But if you're saying to me, by the halving, which is, let's call it mid to late April, by the halving, will we be done with the exegesis of the last cycle? I believe that we will be. Are we down to the remnants of the exegesis of the last cycle? I believe that we are. And I think that when Cramer said that Bitcoin can't find a bottom or can't find a floor, or whatever the hell he said, and that was like the interim low, it's not inconceivable to me that Bitcoin is 55,000 by the halving. It's not inconceivable because you have the demand pooling and you have less supply that's going to be offered up to meet that demand. And so, and then the other question is, where is the grayscale P&L for the average grayscale trust holder? And so I don't know, if someone bought that in 2015, are they willing to pay 1.5%? Let's just use the differential, 1.3%, because, BlackRock's at 21. So your question is, I've got a XYZ gain. Do I want to cash in that gain, pay the taxes, move it into BlackRock, or take it and move it into USD? I don't know. Or am I going to say that? And I think Grayscale,
They did that math.
And I think probably off a little. I think Grayscale would have benefited from like a 1% or 1.25. I think you would have seen less selling, actually. But
we can thank Gary for that as well. The SEC made such a botchery of this entire process by never approving any of them that we had a fee war, and nobody. I mean, if one of these had been approved,
the cash thing too, that was done to hurt Grayscale, obviously. So they did that to hurt Grayscale, and listen, I mean, when you're growing up, you are taught by books, and you're taught a normative thing that's happening vis-a-vis academia. This is the process, and this is the thing. And there's no arbitrary or capricious nature to the process. And then when you get older, you realize these are just human beings, and there's politics, and there's personal vendettas, and there's slights, and there's this and that and the other thing. I think Gary is aghast that Grayscale took it to him. Okay, yeah. I think Gary is aghast that the Ripple guys took it to him. Okay, I think prior to Gary, Mark Cuban going after the SEC for what they did to him and winning. Okay, I think the SEC has really been tarnished. I think they have to go back to blocking and tackling at the SEC, and they have to get out of the politicization. I was in San Moritz at the CFC San Moritz conference, and I met with one of the regulators from Dubai, and the woman said to me, "You know what? We have no politicization in our regulatory process. If it's good for the country, good for the economy, we want to embrace it. If it's not, we don't want to embrace it, but it's not tied to somebody calling me and saying, hey, I woke up this morning, I hate Bitcoin." And so the laws of the, United States is 22% of the world's GDP. I woke up this morning, I'm a little irritable. I don't like Bitcoin, and that Mike Novogratz made $1 billion. Hello, Gary, are you there? Yeah, Gary, we need to block financial innovation in the United States. Okay, so can you work on that for me, please? And then you got, it's just mathematical blather. Okay, yeah, can you block it for me? Thank you, Gary.
Hamas, North Korea.
I mean, come on. And then she gets embarrassed by Loomis, right? So Loomis is like, okay, there's $900,000 of money laundering on Bitcoin, 900 million on the other USD, but she's embarrassed. It's embarrassed. It's actually.
I love watching her get community noted on every tweet now. But yeah, go ahead.
No, the one beauty. Look, there's some pain in social media, and there's some bots that are irritating, and kids are probably being cyber bullied. But there is a big benefit to this sort of cluster. I don't want to use the F-bomb, but a cluster F-bomb in social media, because somebody like Elizabeth Warren cannot get away with this stuff without being exposed for the insanity and the hypocrisy.
I love it. So final question, I know you have to go. Would you say that it was a more impactful event for you meeting Larry Fink in the Four Seasons lobby of Abu Dhabi, or meeting me in the Four Seasons lobby in Austin, Texas?
You're nicer to me, though. Look, I'm going to say you. Okay. Larry
knows got out of the car, and you were getting out of the car next to me.
Larry knows me and likes me, but I'm like insignificant to Larry. You're like a lot nicer to me. You invite me on the show. I'm usually driving around in the back of my car with bad internet. Yeah, I'm going to say you.
We love
And
it.
we'll see
I'll
you.
take it, man.
And you're
See that?
taller.
That's
You're taller. And then for all your fans out there, you're taller and thinner than you
very
look
thin.
on the. You're taller and thinner than you look on the air.
Yeah, not a surprise. Well,
Right?
I'm
But you
literally
could
going to
use a
just
little
send.
moose though, and I could probably
Yeah, I
see
know. I'm
you
gonna
some
send
that.
pictures. I have something in here.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, my wife literally sends my
Yeah.
barber pictures of Justin Timberlake's haircuts because she loves him,
Yeah.
and we never get there. And then she's always mad when I come home. She's like, "You
Well,
didn't do it,"
Make
and
your
then she
wife
sees your
happy.
hair, and it's embarrassing.
Make your wife happy. Make your wife
I'm
happy.
trying. I'm trying. Maybe I just don't have the hair. All right, man. You got to go. Thank you so much,
right,
ladies and
God bless,
gentlemen.
brother.
I'll follow Scaramucci on the X, Twitter, whatever the hell we call it now. And I'll see you soon when we're back at the all-time high. All right.
God bless, brother. Thank you, man.
Right, thank you. What a legend, man. Always a pleasure. I thought he'd be in the back of a car. We were taking bets on it, but this time he said, I know you get so angry, which I don't, by the way. So I know you get so angry when I'm in the back of the car and it's all broken. So I literally made sure that I stayed home from work and did this in the office first. What an amazing guy, man. One of my favorite guests. Always a pleasure to have him. We're actually working, honestly, we're working on a crypto kind of Shark Tank show with myself, him, Mario Knopfel, Rand Nooner, and Scaramucci. That's hopefully coming down the road. But I have the worst hair of everyone. It's terrible. Look, this part is just standing up. You see that? I can't do anything about that. Can't do anything about it. Anyways, if you loved Anthony Scaramucci, then you're going to love our next guest from Texas. Of course, Christopher Inks. He's no Texas West Capital. That guy. You know,
what's going on, man?
Got nothing on you. Yeah, I love that. Actually, that was a lot of really interesting perspective on Fink. I don't know if you were listening to that, but that was pretty crazy. That he, I'm convinced now he's really orange pilled.
Yeah, and I think it's the first time I've seen him interviewed not in the back of his car. So it was different.
Really special. Yeah, really special. I feel very flattered. I'm trying to get some of my charts up, but here, let's take a look. Oh, you got Bitcoin up first. I'm assuming you want to take a look at that.
Of course, right? It's a big talk here. Again,
it's dead now, Chris. It's dead. It's over. We're finished.
The 127th billionth time, something like that.
So dead.
I mean, we talked about the possibility that it could break down, and if it did, that that was looking basically. I think the price target was a little bit higher, just a slight bit higher. But as this week came out, or as this the new daily pivots came out over this month, basically it was the S1 pivot is what we were looking at. So we're there right now. Here on the daily, we printed almost a nice looking, almost a hammer. We have a little bit too much wick at the top there. Importantly, volume here. The volume. This is the Bitstamp chart, and each chart's a little bit different in volume. But basically what we're seeing is pretty much the same volume between these two candles. And what you're getting is a pin bar here on that support, on that S1 pivot. So, we still need it to go up. We still need it to break out, basically above around 43,566, depending on whatever chart you're on. This is the January 26th on my time zone. But that swing high is what we're looking to break out above. We can do that. We're headed up 57,000, maybe 62.5, just on with this count, wave 3 of the larger 3. So we haven't even, as far as this count goes, nothing's really changed other than we just kind of went to a slightly higher count, wave count right here, but it's still, this 1, 2, 1, 2 here. So again, this just gets us 3 of the larger 3. But if it does break down, we've still got that secondary target here at 35,700. And what that is based on this count, that's the 50% retracement there, which is a usual secondary target that we use for wave 4. You can see that the 38.2, the initial target, was right here at that S1 pivot. By the way, you also notice on this big channel coming off the swing low here, it's also, we wick down below the EQ of that channel there and close back above it. So a lot of potential in this, but ultimately we need that breakout there above that, whatever I said here, 43,566. If we can get that, then I think, again, 57,62.5 coming up here next. So,
yeah, I love that. I mean, I was looking at this just this morning when I was writing the newsletter, just kind of, I like these days, what I've been doing is just zooming really far out to the weeklies and just kind of getting really key levels and trying not to waste my time in between. I've had this sort of area right here, that 38,600. I talked about it a ton in the past when it was resistance, right? That's where the Luna breakdown happened. Right over here, when we really lost the market, was when Luna collapsed. and we broke below. And so we had this kind of 4 weeks here that I kept talking about in November. We couldn't get back above that level. So I just kind of made it this area. And if you look where this dropped, I'm not saying we won't go lower. I'm saying you could have very easily expected a major reaction there. Right there, 38,500-ish, right at the top of that. Zooming in, you can see is exactly where this ended. And by the way, ETH did the same kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Like a major weekly level right down to 2160. I'm not saying, I don't know if it'll bounce yet as support, but that's exactly the same sort of area where everything lost from Luna. Like these key, huge weekly levels are playing pretty clearly right now as support on this drop.
Yeah, very much so. And one thing, if you pull up your chart real quick, your Bitcoin chart again, because you've got it more clearly marked than on mine, but you'll notice,
I get the right one.
Yeah, you'll notice that the level you have marked there right before, you can see that there's a couple of pushes into it and pullbacks that create like over about 2 or 3 weeks there. Yeah. And then you get the strong push through the level. And then now we're coming back and testing and get a reaction off that. Usually when you have those significant levels like that and you're looking to continue the trend, most often this is what you're going to see. You're going to see it'll pop up against the level. It won't just break right through. It'll hit it a few times and then pop through. And then it'll come back and retest it, get you a good reaction off it, and then it'll continue up. So, nothing is ever 100%, in the markets, but this is something that I like to look for, when we're looking at these bigger, more important levels. So definitely something, and again, it just kind of aligns, get confluence with all those other things I was talking about. And, we'll see. We'll see. I've got my level I'm looking at. And if we break out above it, I think we're good to go up higher, new highs. But until then, if it does break down, we'll get that low volume node right there around that 35.7. So,
yeah, I'm just realizing I'm like scanning through charts. You keep going, but that a lot of them have come back and retested. And I had drawn all these levels, but they're all from that same area. Summer 22. Solana's the same. Like I was talking about it yesterday. I'm looking at this. I kind of readjusted and bought a little Solana literally on the stream yesterday. I was like, I'm going to just buy a little. I still have bids down to 70, 75, but look, like this is the area of that major breakdown. And this is coming back to retest it for the first time after the same thing. Weeks, a couple weeks of testing it, get above, no retest, and now retesting.
See, this is the thing I really like about crypto. A lot of people think of crypto as this big different thing. Now, if you know how to trade equities, if you know how to trade futures, whatever, you're going to trade the same way. But the cool thing about crypto, probably because it's so small, is that everything generally tends to move in the same way. So you're finding the same resistance, the same support levels in time, right? And you see it over there. And so, it makes it a lot easier to trade, right? You just look and you go, man, well, now I got a whole slew of things I can look at, right? So
yeah, we've got some. Yeah, I agree. I'm just looking at the comments. Cool. I was just looking. Andrew's awesome. And so I was like, dang, Andrew's here. I see he's watching on X. He says, Chris does uniquely great work, especially with charts. Everyone should follow. Andrew's AP Abacus, I think is what it is on Twitter. One of my favorites. We talk all the time. And then I also saw that James Lavish checked in just to say that the market says no to GBTC at 1.5%, which I think is very, very clear at the moment. So listen, I think so to just wrap this in a bow, I think we all agree right now, Bitcoin looks like it could have found a bottom, but we still need to go a bit higher to confirm. Right now, we got a bounce where we expected, but that doesn't mean yet that it's the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Assessment?
Trading, trading really, if you want to be in this for any length of time, proper risk management is an absolute must. You can't, again, almost 30 years I've been doing this. Thousands, if not tens of thousands of traders I've talked to over time. Nobody has stayed in for any amount of time without proper risk management. But other than that, you got to learn to understand, however you're trading, what are your validation and invalidation levels. You got to have them. You got to have them. Those will help you go along.
One last thing, if I may. I forgot, but this, because you taught me this once upon a time. Oversold, bullish divergence with RSI on the 4-hour chart. We had it again. Dead bottom, bounce. Doesn't mean it is the bottom, but man, if you get a bullish divergence with oversold RSI, or a bearish divergence with overbought RSI, by the way, which we have on the weekly and had on the daily at the top here, you can be pretty sure that the market's going to bounce in the other direction.
Yeah, there's a good chance it's going to get rejected there and the opposite way. Yeah. But again, nothing's 100%, and I cannot say that enough. Because you're a big name. You got a lot of people following you, a lot of new people all the time, and they have to know. We all know how we've all come in. We all came into trading thinking we were going to make it is going to make a lot of money really easy and whatnot. And,
Easy
the
lose.
market has a quick way of humbling you when you do that. And so, these things, you have to understand these things. So, yeah, so I mean, that's Bitcoin right there. Real quick here, I've got a stock. I've been watching snow. I kind of talked about it back here in June of 2022 when we had this low down here. And this looks a hell of a lot like Ethereum looked like, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's
Ascending.
ascending triangle, but it's support consolidating against resistance. And now we're getting this breakout. We had the pullback on this pin bar here. We've got this nice breakout happening. This is the weekly chart. Now, I think it's possible we could get rejected the R1, pull back toward the pivot here on the weekly. So get rejected around 230, potentially pull back to maybe 182, maybe 176 or 75 or so, and then go up. Or we might just overextend here and just continue going up from here. But either way, I think we're headed right up here at least to about 410, 412 on that. And so I think it's a really good setup. Big picture wise, if somebody's looking to say, listen, I don't have the money to just kind of sit here, and day trade all day. I want to kind of find something that even if it pulls back a little bit, I'm thinking about, months out, maybe a year or more out. I think it's a great trade. I think it's a great setup for it. So,
That's great.
And I'm not saying it can't break out new all-time highs either. I'm just saying initially that's my target right there is around that 4.
Please tell me that one of those tabs up top, I know we've told you to limit it, but please tell me one of them is Spirit.
No, none of them are Spirit.
Dude,
Spirit,
guys,
man,
you did it with Dollar General a couple months ago where it was like this epic bottom. Spirit went absolutely mayhem parabolic right after you said it here. You got to bring it up. I'm sorry.
We did all right. We kind of get
Yeah,
it
it was
every once in a while, right?
fine. Yeah. We sat here and talked about how it was just fun and it was because the JetBlue deal had fallen through. I mean, it was the dead bottom, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then, we dipped down there for Thursday and then right back up. We just dipped and right back up. That was a rally off that low there. Some huge bid here. That was.
But what was the price last Wednesday at that bottom? Because that's where we were.
It's about 130% there. On Wednesday, I think it was this one right here. I think it was the one before. It was this $5.
But yeah, okay, yeah.
$5 and change, yeah. And then Thursday it dipped and shot off there, right back up. So
casual 100% on an airline in a week. Thanks, Chris. Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, once we get the breakout here above this swing high that we just made, this $9.34 area, I mean, I think we rally up here and fill in this fair value gap up to around $14.75, 76 cents around that. And if we're doing that, I think we're overall continuing up higher there. I think we can continue up. We talked about the fact that we had this bullish divergence building. Did we finish it on the daily here? Let me see. Oh no, we didn't quite. We didn't quite.
Exaggerated bullish divergence, as they call it, the equal low. Exaggerated bullish. Yeah.
But the weekly, look at that weekly and that capitulation volume. We didn't get a bullish SFP on the weekly. We did close below it. We need to close above it. But the monthly is still in progress here. And again, this volume. I mean, if I'm looking at this, I see little reason to think we're not going to at least get up here to $16, $18. Potentially up here 25. This is capitulation type volume here. There's absolutely nothing leading into it. And then all of a sudden, boom, big volume, bullish divergence on the monthly. We might end up with a bullish SFP. I think there's a lot of good potential for it to go up further, but we'll see. So, yeah.
Perfect. All right. So I didn't mean to interrupt your flow. Back to our regularly scheduled program. I couldn't let him get away without dunking on that one. That was a 360 from the foul line reverse jam with your eyes closed over a dude. Yeah.
Well, we've had some good ones. We had Save here previously, like you said. We had Dollar General on there, and that thing's still going well. I did PayPal there on Twitter not too long ago. Nailed the absolute bottom on that one. And that thing's just continued to go up since then, And again, in these things are going in spite of people's narratives, in spite of their, this is why I think price needs to do this. And this is what I have, what I try and warn traders against is stop worrying about the fundamentals, because what you're going to do is you have in your mind what you want it to do. And so any fundamentals that comes out, you're going to just weave it to make it, seem to support what you're saying. You can still kind of do it with the charts, but it's a little bit easier to not do that. But still, it's a tough thing when you're a trader, right? You know those emotions.
Yeah.
I've got
What you got
cake here.
next?
You what?
So go ahead. Keep going with the cake.
Okay, I got cake on the daily here. We pulled back to daily S1, same thing as Bitcoin. Almost reset and oversold on RSI, Stoke RSI, bottomed out there and oversold. We have lack of selling as we've continued down. We got a lot of overlap, small candles, volume dropping off, mostly indicative of a pullback. Again, you can see the thing right here, same idea. So I'm looking for a breakout of this descending resistance. That's my first clue. That would be the earliest that I would probably want to get in. So it'd probably be up here around $2.66 or so. And then, of course, I want to see a nice impulsive breakout above the daily pivot. That would be my better confirmation, which is around $3.18 or so. But I've got an $8.50 target off that. So I think cake is setting up for a potentially decent move coming off this year.
That.
Even if you wait a little bit, getting $3, you're still looking potentially $8.50 target. I've got TIA. I know a lot of people talking about TIA. I've talked about it a few times over the last few months.
This one, I'm legitimately pissed off at this one, by the way. When it launched, I think I told you, but like I just saw people talking about it, didn't know what it was. It was on Coinbase and it was at like $3. And I was looking at the chart and it was flat. And I was like, everybody's talking about it. I bet it's going to go way up. And I bid like 281 and walked away. And I think it hit 285 and then went parabolic. Insane.
Yeah. It took off, pull back to it's just great. It's a
Full
three-way pullback right now. We've got some rejection here at this line. So I'm looking for a breakout here as my initial, hey, pay attention. If we get above this swing high here at $18.50, that should confirm that we're going to break out there. And I've got a $26 target. So this here's the daily Stoke RSI crossing bullishly and oversold. RSI pull back to neutral here, kind of bouncing a little bit. Not a whole ton of volume here, but we did get a little bit down here, almost a bullish engulfing candle there, a little bit more volume than the previous one. So I'm interested to see if this R1 holds here and we can break out, because if we can, I'm interested then at that $26 target. And
Perfect.
Finally, AXS here. Again, same idea. This is what you're going to see on a lot of these. This is where we were talking about earlier, how they all kind of look similar, all getting the same pullbacks and, same kind of structures, a lot of them. So again, we've got 3 waves here. I'm not saying we can't pull down a little bit further to the S1 pivot, but I'm looking for, again, a breakout of this descending resistance as the initial, how do you do? And then this swing high right here is at that point, I'm like, you should be long. It's a higher confidence trade right there around, what is that? $9.09. If we can get that, 15.20 is the initial target. If we continue on through that, though, $35, $15, and $52 become the next targets on the way up. So potentially a really, really good setup with AXS here.
Awesome.
And that's what I got, man.
Perfect. That's exactly right. Exactly on time. I'm going to let you off the hook today on the giveaway, and I'm going to make Misha do it again. So that we don't have to sit here and waste your time scrolling through things, man. Thank you so much, everybody. Follow TX West Capital, everything else that he's doing. He's always on our Twitter spaces too these days, of course, here every single Wednesday. Thank you, man. Hope you have a wonderful day.
Take it easy, man. Thank you.
All right, guys, time to give away $100. I'm going to bring on Misha. What's up? Your hair looking impeccable today. That man bun is strong. Strong. See, I couldn't. Me and Mooch. What you guys missed is that Mooch and I were actually talking about Misha's hair before the show. He was the shining light of hair goals. It's beautiful.
I have a pretty
beautiful
long hair. It's true.
What's our question today? In the spirit of Mooch, something about a president, right?
Yeah. Who should be the next president of the U.S.? Wrong answers only.
Who should be the next president of the United States? Wrong answers only. Yesterday's winner, something about a vasectomy. Congratulations. Yep. Again, if we choose you, you email mike@thewolfofallstreets.io and Misha sends you $100 for $100. Who should be the next president of the United States? Wrong answers only. While they're doing that and we're scrolling through, man, that interview with Mooch, I was just saying to you in the background, people sometimes see me typing. I'm always typing to Misha. I was saying that, man, that was like the best interview ever. But he like the insight about Elizabeth Warren and Fink and all of them was absolutely amazing. Should I bring some of these up, or you want to do it?
So let's start. Yeah, let's start.
I saw
Who we have here? So Gary Gensler. What do you think
we have
about
a lot of people saying Gary Gensler.
Paris Hilton.
She'd be
Sam.
a president. Oh,
he cannot be a president. Come on, he's in the prison.
Yeah, well, there's a chance that one of the guys who's running might also be in the prison.
True. What
Scott
about
Melker?
Melker?
No, I do not want to be president, but thank you. Appreciate
Pepe.
That.
Elizabeth Warren. No way. Yeah, I got some experience.
I would give that one to Des, but we already gave Des money last week.
Okay, put in no way. No fucking way. Sorry.
This guy up here is really trying to win. Right here.
Oh, sorry.
Rails of Bitcoin with Emmy Melker. Said he's really trying to win. Good answer. Emmy Melker.
Michael Saylor. Okay, Jamie Dimon. No.
This was the answer I gave you. Somebody said nobody. When Misha asked me the question earlier, I said nobody. It's like nobody. Just let it end.
What do you think about Max Kaiser?
I think it would be really bad for Elizabeth Warren. I could give it to Max Kaiser. I could give it to that.
Homer Simpson, I like this one. Definitely would like to see him as a president of the U.S. Petrock. Oh, that's a nice profile pic. George Costanza. Yep.
That's good. All right, we got to pick one now because I have to go get ready for spaces. So,
all right.
Where we at?
Okay. All right. So I guess I will leave George Costanza because I really like.
Okay, George Costanza for president wins. Matthew Chalice. We've seen you up here before. Did he win before? Or did he almost? I think he almost won yesterday.
Oh,
or one of the days. Matthew, you win. Email mike@thewolfofallstreets.io. He will get your address and send you Tether. We're paying in stable coins, in case you guys are wondering. Still some great ones coming in. The Dude, Lebowski, BitBoy, and a bag of snow. That's fucked up. Tim Allen, Camacho for Idiocracy. You guys are great. Ric Flair. You guys know I met Ric Flair last week and tried to orange pill him. I was sitting at a bar in Tampa before a Lightning game. Ric Flair came in. You might not know who he is, Misha, but he's an old wrestler. Woo! And so I walked up to him and I started to ask him if he, was just trying to hang out with him and ask him if he knew about Bitcoin. And he basically was like, yeah, whatever. And he pushed me out of the way and took a picture with my wife. which is somewhere on my Twitter. Now I got to find it. It's great. It's definitely here somewhere. Nope, I don't know where it went. It's really funny, but we're gonna get out of here. But it's funny because I have the photo proof that it happened. If I could actually find it, but I can't seem to. Oh well. Oh, we'll find it another day. Anyways, get your money. $100. We're gonna do it again tomorrow, I assume. What do we got tomorrow? Do we have anything planned yet for tomorrow, or we're still booking?
Yeah, we have Sheldon.
Oh, Sheldon Sniper tomorrow. Guys, so it's going to be mostly a trading show this time. And I'll tell you guys about the fact that I'm going to be working with Sheldon on his sniper school, which is a free, not asking you to sign up for anything, free educational platform that they do to teach people how to trade. I'm going to go on with a couple of the cohorts, but we'll talk to you guys about that tomorrow. Can't believe I can't find the Ric Flair picture now. Annoyed. I bet it's on her profile. No, it's on Emmy's profile. It was on my profile. I said that she got the job done. It's just really. Oh, here it is. I found it. 1 second. See, he looks. He doesn't look as young as Scaramucci, but there he is. Looking a little bit older, Ric Flair. But yeah, she got the job done. Yeah, although I doubt he still owns any Bitcoin. All right, guys, that's all we got for you today. We will see you tomorrow with Sheldon the Sniper and, of course, Dan from Chart Guys. I'm assuming on the back half. Misha, thank you for your assistance and your wonderful hair. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Let's go.